Habari, karibu sana. Welcome to your first Swahili lesson. My name is John, and I'll be guiding you through this beautiful and practical language step by step. This section will help you understand the roots of Swahili, where it's spoken, and how it sounds, and how its verbs work, all in under 30 minutes. So we start by asking ourselves, where is Swahili spoken? Swahili, or commonly called Kiswahili, is one of the most widely spoken languages in Africa. Over 100 million people use it across more than 10 countries. It's a national language or official language in different places. And these places or this country include Kenya and Tanzania and Zanzibar. I'm going to start with them: Kenya, Tanzania, and Zanzibar, which is the last one. Zanzibar is kind of like an extension of Tanzania, so it's like a Tanzania previously called Tanganyika. So it's commonly used in those two countries, Kenya and Tanzania. But with recent times, other countries have adopted it, and these include Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Democratic Republic of Congo, Comoros, Mozambique, and others have not named them like South Africa. They have started adopting it. So that makes Swahili an important language for you to learn. So the history of Swahili, we're going to start with like it began as a coastal trading language influenced heavily by Arabic. In fact, the word Swahili comes from Arabic word called Sawahil, mean which means coast. Today, it's not just spoken, it's sung, written, broadcast, and celebrated. Let's look at the Swahili alphabet and pronunciation. The good news is Swahili uses the same alphabet as English. Even better, it's phonetic. That means what you see is what you say. Let's go through vowels first, then consonants. For the vowels, we have A, pronounced as A, like father. In one of the words that we might say or might use is Rafiki. Rafiki. Rafiki is friend. And you can see A there. Rafiki. The next word, the next vowel is A. A like in pen. An example is tembo. Tembo. Tembo is elephant. Tembo is elephant. Elephant is also called ndovu, but in this time, let's call him tembo. The next vowel is E. E is like double E, like the one that you can say machine. Machine. And an example is siku. Siku. Siku in English is day. The next vowel is O. O, like in so. An example is moto. 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 Moto is fire. Moto is fire. The next vowel is U. U, like the word double O. U. This like in food. An example is supu. See the two U? Supu. U, U. Supu. Supu. In English, supu is soup. Supu is soup. Now let's repeat after me. The vowels that you've learned is A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U. Those are like the ones that you've just seen, like in A, Rafiki, E, Tembo, I, Siku, O, Moto, U, Supu. Let's look at the consonants. Now we're going to highlight some of the key ones. An example, we have B. B. B is like in Baba. Baba. Baba in English is father. Remember, I'm not saying ba is father, or I'm just saying ba is used in a word like baba in Swahili. And now baba, I'm giving you the pronunciation of baba is father. So that can increase or make your vocabulary bigger. The next consonant is da, da, da as in used in dada, dada, dada. Dada is sister in English. The next one is ga, ga, ga. You have to put it harder. Ga. An example is in gari, gari. Gari is car in English. The next one is j, j or sometimes j. You can say ja, like we can say that ja in jam, or you can put it as j, as in Gina, Gina, Gina. Gina is name. Gina is name. The next one is r, r, r. R is rolled lightly. R, r. This is as in pronounced in Rafiki. Rafiki. Rafiki is friend. Rafiki, friend. The next one is ch, 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 as in chakula. It's commonly used in words like chakula. Chakula is food. Chakula, food. The next consonant is sh, sh, sh. An example is shule, shule. Shule is school in English. Shule is school in English. The next one is pronounced a bit different, is ng. Ng. Because of that apostrophe you can see up there. Ng. Ng is used like in ng'ombe, ng'ombe, ng'ombe. Ng'ombe is cow, cow, ng'ombe. The next and the last consonant we're going to look at this is n, n, n. I know it's kind of like difficult to pronounce this, but it's n, n. This is like in Kenyan, and the Swahili word which pronounce or illustrates this is nyama, nyama, nyama. Nyama is meat. Nyama is meat in English. Let's look at the basic structure of Swahili verb. Basic structure of a Swahili verb. Now let's look at the core of the Swahili verbs. In English, we change the verb form depending on who is doing the action and when. Swahili does the same, but in a more logical way. So we're going to align the subject, as in the basic structure of a verb in Swahili, a complete verb in Swahili. It has the subject prefix, then the tense marker, followed by the verb root. The subject prefix, followed by tense marker, followed by the verb root. We're going to see just three examples, which are just few to just illustrate some of them, but we're going to be looking them at more later, because in this whole tutorial we're going to be looking more about present tense, and that include learning more about verbs as well. So an example is ninasoma, ninasoma, ninasoma. Ninasoma is I am reading, I am reading. Ninasoma, ninasoma. Now, the very first one is the subject prefix, which shows the first person. Ni, mimi. This is mimi, like I. Ninasoma. The second is the tense marker. Now, the tense marker shows the present, the tense at which the verb is being done. Like remember the verb now is soma, read. Soma is read. Na means like you're doing it right now, like right now, currently. Then soma is read. So when you say nina soma, you mean I am reading right now. I am reading, right? The next example we're going to look at is anaenda. Anaenda. Remember, if you are to write it, you're now supposed to write these hyphens. These hyphens are just to show you where the subject prefix are, where the tense markers are, and the verb root. So in the second one, which is anaenda, a is a subject prefix, which is the second person, he or she. He or she. Remember in Swahili, we don't have that. He or she. Both they used like anaenda. Enda is go, the verb to go. Enda. So when you say he or she is going, any of them, he is going or she is going, you say anaenda. Anaenda. The next example we're going to look at is wanakula. 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 Wanakula is they are eating. They are eating. Wa is the subject prefix which shows the plural word of them, that person. They. They are eating. They. Now the tense marker in this word is na, which shows the present tense. Remember, we're dealing mostly about the present tense. We're going to look at the past tense and future tense in later examples. So, wa na kula. Wa na kula. Wa na kula. They are eating, which means they are eating right now. Remember, na is the present tense, the tense marker of the present tense. Wa na kula. Wa is they are eating. If it was just one person, like he or she is eating, you would have said anakula. Anakula. But since they are many, they are two or more, is wanakula. We're going to say that later. And just in case you have a problem with this, let me know. And we're going to go through this over and over again. Don't mind. The next one we're going to look at is the recap of the verbs. And the recap of the verbs here is ninasoma. Ninasoma. Ninasoma is I am reading. I am reading. This is also a way for you to test your knowledge, whether you understood the previous slide that we had before. And so ninasoma is the first person, which has subject prefix ni, then na, which is current now, and soma is read. The next word is anasoma. Anasoma. A is the subject prefix of the second person, sorry. Then na means the tense marker of the present tense, like it's happening right now, and soma is read. The next word is wanasoma. 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 We have the subject prefix of the plural of the second person, which is wa, and na is happening right now, and soma, which means they are reading. All right, so it's wanasoma. Wanasoma. All right. If it's like the way we had before, like they are eating, is wanakula. Wanakula, right? So the next word we're going to look at is how Swahili differs from English, so that you better understand like how you're going to differentiate between Swahili and English. So one of the things to understand is in Swahili, we don't have articles. We have no articles like the one we see in English. We have a, an, or the. Remember, those are the articles in English. In Swahili, we don't have articles. Number two, in Swahili, we have no gender pronouns. We don't have he or she. Or all of them, they are yeye. yeye. We don't have he or she, it's yeye. If you want to say he is eating with or she is eating, we just use yeye anakula or anakula, which just avoid the repetition of yeye anakula because anakula is also the second person, right? The next uh, thing is there is consistent verbs. We don't have irregularities like go, went, gone. So that kind of makes English a very hard language and maybe people don't even understand. English is very difficult. So we don't have irregular verbs. We don't have those irregularity in verbs and stuff. The next one is we have no silent letters. No silent letters. So if you want to say something, you just say what you say. If it's soma, there is no silent letter like O is silent or S is silent. It's so because we have S and O. So it's ma, it's M ma, so ma. So it's just four syllables, so ma, no silent words, right? The next one is the sentence structure is flexible but logical. The sentence, in other words, Swahili words, the sentence structure is flexible but logical. So that is how Swahili differs from English. And you may agree with me as we go by that Swahili is one of the simplest language for you to understand. It doesn't have all these problems that are in other languages. So if you have something that you are having like a paper or a book or something, you can record right the following. So I'm going to give you the three sentences, which is about what you are doing in Swahili. An example, say, I'm learning Swahili. I'm learning Swahili. I'm learning Swahili. I'm learning Swahili. So how do you say I'm learning in Swahili? So I'm going to give you 2 seconds or 3 seconds to see whether you are understanding the Swahili so far. I'm learning Swahili. Okay, time is up. So I'm learning Swahili. Remember, we have three things that we have to look at. We have the subject, which is the subject prefix. Then we have the tense marker. Then we have the verb, right? So in here, we have am with the subject prefix, which shows it's the first person, I. So in that, we put ni. Then we have learning. I'm learning. I'm learning shows that you're doing it right now. So learning in Swahili or comes from the verb to learn. And to learn in Swahili is soma. Soma. So I'm learning is nina soma. Nina soma. Then we have Swahili. You can say nina soma Swahili. Nina soma Swahili. Or you can say ninasoma Kiswahili. Ninasoma Kiswahili. Remember, there are other people who comes up with this thing that you have to include the very first person, like Mimi. But in modern Swahili, we don't have to like repeat the same thing. Actually, even in English, you don't have to say like myself, I'm learning Swahili. You don't have to put like keep on insisting that you're doing it. So by saying mimi ninasoma Kiswahili, you're repeating mimi and ni. Ni nasoma already shows it's you. It's the first person reading. It's ni nasoma Swahili. So, but feel free to use it if you feel like it's better. Mimi ninasoma Kiswahili. But I would prefer just to put it on a light note. Ninasoma Kiswahili. Ninasoma Swahili. The next one is I'm eating. I'm eating. I'm eating. I'm going to give you 2 seconds just to see whether you can be able to construct the sentence and tell me like what you think about whether like you'll be correct. So by the end of this, you should be knowing whether you're getting something. Okay, time's up. I'm eating. Am is the first person. So the subject prefix of this is ni. Ni. Then we have eating. Eating is comes from the word kula. 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 But remember, I'm eating shows that it's something that is happening. Eating, ing, eating. So since it's the first person that is doing this, eating, you say ne. And since the tense marker is present tense, you say ni na. Then the verb is kula. Ni na kula. Ni na kula. Maybe you can say mimi ninakula, just like we mentioned earlier, but it's just a repetitive of the subject prefix. Mimi ninakula. The best thing to do is just in this case is just say ninakula. If it was like I'm eating food, you say ninakula chakula. Ninakula chakula. Remember, in a country like Kenya, and I believe in some places like Tanzania and Zanzibar, people have migrated further from saying ninakula to nakula. So you avoid the ni first because it's also a repetition, nakula. So people prefer to say nakula, nakula. When you say nakula, means I'm eating right now and it's me. But remember, it also depends on the context because even if it's the second person or the third person, like yeye anakula, if you say nakula, it shows like it's just you. So when you say nakula, it should be when you're focusing about yourself. It's you that is eating. So you can say nakula when you mean other people, right? So it's just you. When you're referring to this other people, you have to include the subject prefix, and therefore that shows that it's better for you to always include the subject prefix. Instead of saying nakula, you say ninakula. That would be safer because you will bring yourself to the customs of using the right subject prefix and stuff. Then the last word we are going to use see in this is I'm reading a book. I'm reading a book. I'm reading a book. The verb that we have here is reading, and it comes from the word read. Read. To read. To read in Swahili is soma. 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 I'm reading a book. I'm reading a book. The best way is to dissect it into the subject prefix, the tense marker, and the verb. Am is ni. Reading is soma. So is I'm reading is nina soma. Nina soma. Nina soma. Then a book is kitabu. Kitabu. I'm reading a book. Nina soma kitabu. I'm reading a book. Ninasoma kitabu. Also, I would like to point out just the first sentence that we had here. I'm learning Swahili just because we have another similar word here. I'm reading a book and I'm learning Swahili. So just to put it into more concept, the very best way of saying I'm learning is to learn. To learn is funza. Funza. So the right way of maybe putting this so that someone will understand, it's not like you're just reading, you're learning, is kujifunza. So in maybe the very best way I'm going to highlight this is najifunza. Najifunza. Najifunza Kiswahili. Najifunza Kiswahili. Just in case you need to be more precise. I'm just not reading, I'm learning. I'm learning Swahili. Najifunza Swahili. Najifunza Swahili. Najifunza Swahili. So, najifunza Swahili for I'm learning Swahili. Nasoma kitabu, which is just I'm reading a book. I hope that is clear. Just in case you need more elaboration on this, let me know, and I'll be happy to go through this over and over again. And that marks the very end of this class. And I'm hoping to see you in the next class. And yeah, see you. Bye.